Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Corey C., and I'm here with a very special guest. I've had him on before. He is the founder of Love.io. Anders, how are you today? It's been a while. It's been almost 2 months. I hope you're doing very well. I've seen you've been
Yeah,
very
thank
busy.
you, Corey. Yeah, I think it was probably end of October.
Yeah,
We had the last, yeah,
yeah.
all very well, thank you.
That's great. I've seen, I've seen on your Twitter how much you're promoting Love.io and cryptocurrency as a whole, and entrepreneurs like that are really what we need in cryptocurrency and
Thank
blockchain.
you.
So I salute you for what you're doing, and I really, really appreciate what you're doing for this space. It's not easy to, travel a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you.
So,
Yeah, it's have been yeah, a lot of promoting. We have yeah, you've seen we've been in many different countries,
mhm.
different crypto shows. Started off in Crypto Valley in Switzerland. We have the Love.io Foundation is based there. Then we participated in Democracy for All in Barcelona, Blockchain Week in Rome,
Wow.
CoinFest in Manchester in UK, and then Cyprus, Blockchain Week in Cyprus.
Wow.
And yeah, and in the middle of that, we also had shooting of a docu-series, Uncensored Crypto, in just outside Barcelona. That was very exciting as well, and will be aired sometime during next year, and it will be
Awesome.
launched on aired on 2 or 3 major networks in the US. So
I'm
it's
looking
very
forward to that.
exciting. Lot of good thing and a lot of talk. Of course, Love.io, and of course a lot on with PulseChain. Since we are building our application, or Love is launched on PulseChain, so then of course we have to talk a lot about PulseChain as well, and it's been, yeah, amazing. And many people don't really know what PulseChain is, and so on. But since yeah, we have had our own booths, and so on in at the crypto shows, and then I have also done presentations
I
and
see.
so on. So it's thousands of people have heard it at the conferences and then talking about it. So I think it's have given a good start for PulseChain when it get
Yeah.
launched. So, yeah,
That's an understatement. I've seen what you're doing.
yeah.
You're all over the place, and it's amazing. It's so in the 2 months time that we spoke last. It's been about 2 months, and
Yeah,
so what have the conferences and the docu series.
yeah,
What have you and the Love.io team specifically been up to in regards to Love.io?
yeah,
I've noticed that you, just like you said, have been
yeah,
and in so many different crypto and blockchain oriented conferences, discussions,
yeah,
docu-series, which is amazing, talking about Love.io and PulseChain.
yeah,
So let me ask you about the response. What about the response from the audience that you've
yeah,
received surrounding
yeah.
PulseChain and Love.io?
Yeah, so it's of course, as we yeah, I think we touched on that on last stream as well. When you first hear Love.io, then many people, they think, it's a dating app or whatever. But when they start to understand that it's actually a cryptocurrency, and with a ticker symbol, love, and then people, they get really interested in it, and want to have more information, and of course know what actually love can do. And we have different teams in working on different things. So of course we have our devs team, working on the application part that we launch. And then of course we have the people like myself that is out on conferences, and talking and so on. And as I said before, it's since we are building on PulseChain, then of course a lot of questions and discussions is around PulseChain as well. And the response is pretty much the same, that people don't really understand in the beginning, what it actually is. But when they start to understand that it's actually a complete hard fork of Ethereum, and that everything will be copied, over to PulseChain, then people start to understand what it is. And what we have basically discussed in many YouTubers, and about what will be the value of the PRC20 tokens, or that's the same discussions that I have had, during regarding PulseChain. But when people start to understand that we are actually coming into something, a new era in cryptocurrency and blockchain, and very similar to what happened in the dot-com era, where, for example, we had the big problem like with the bandwidth, for example, that many companies failed because they didn't have the bandwidth. They didn't have the Blitzscaling capability as well. That happened in the early 2000s, and that is a bit where we are now heading with PulseChain, that we will actually have a Turing complete platform with proof of stake consensus algorithm. We will have 3-second block times and 4 times the throughput of Ethereum, and that will create what just the same as the bandwidth problem in the 90s with .com. That will be the change now for the cryptocurrency with PulseChain. And when people start to understand that, and then understand, like the applications like Love.io that can actually scale, like the Blitzscaling model, then, we have had people standing for hours, talking, and people that wants to really start to create, and asking about the testnet, and so on. So it's, and that is where we are now, it's a very interesting time now ahead, both for, of course, Love.io and of course for PulseChain. So.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I love the comparison you made to the dot-com bubble and the issues that the dot-com bubble faced, and what cryptocurrency faces right now as well, with unfortunate carbon outputs through proof of work blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum, bottlenecks, slow transaction times, massive fees. We're seeing problems in cryptocurrency that are hindering mass adoption. And it's not, right now, cryptocurrency is just not a practical means to a financial end in regards to mass adoption. So, and that's why I think protocols like PulseChain especially, that's going to have basically the entirety of the Ethereum blockchain, which is the largest blockchain on the planet when it comes to dApp development and infrastructure, being copied over on a more efficient blockchain. I think that's going to be incredible. So let me ask you this then. So I've got a lot of requests. I mean, you've got a lot of requests from the viewers from our last stream to go deeper into the use cases of Love.io, which they found very interesting. So do you want to talk about the use cases of Love.io?
No, so that is, of course, what we see that have been working with the concept around Love for a long time, and what Love does, the cryptocurrency, is solving a lot of like practical business problems today. And of course, the first one that you know a lot about, being a streamer and a YouTuber, is that it's hard to make, like an actual income, that you have to have a lot of ads, you have to, or if you use like Super Chat, or the centralized solutions, and they are taking a large portion, in the commissions and so on. And it's very easy to be shadow banned, and you can't take, your to get any revenue. And that is, of course, a big problem. And what Love does is that you actually have, a cryptocurrency that works, that you can receive Love donations from your followers. You just post your Love QR code and or your wallet address, and can receive like micro tipping, directly with no commission and so on. So that is, of course, like solving a huge business problem that is today, that Bitcoin tried to do in the beginning but couldn't do it because of the transaction fees and slow transactions and bad name, and what can be a better name than Love, ticker symbol. So that is, of course, one of the main use cases. And then, of course, we have a big business problem, have had it for a long time when it comes to loyalty programs, that we have so many different kinds of loyalty programs when it comes to businesses and so on, cashbacks. We had a very comprehensive study done by Loyalty Point, that they actually said that millennials, they want to have cryptocurrency. They don't care about points or loyalty, and so on. And that is also what our devs are working on, to integrate Love into like loyalty programs and cashback systems. Another thing is, of course, affiliate networks that you can get, like companies, Shopify shops, they can get, or large brands can get, their products promoted in a very natural way, that they buy Love, and then you have influencers and so on that can earn Love, and so that would be an addition to their current revenue streams and so on. And we have one dev team working on one platform in Lovify.com that is have over 1 million influencers today, where basically you can go in and search for an influencer, get okay, that is an influencer that works for my brand or my company, and then you have an option to pay in Love directly to the influencer and so on. So that is also, and there is endless ways of use cases to use Love. We have, of course, also charity. That is one natural thing that you can have, for a cause or a foundation, that if to receive like micro tipping, and so on, or larger donations. So that can also be done from Love in a decentralized way. Direct, with no middleman, and so on, which have been a huge problem also for charities, where you have like charities taking a large portion, and then maybe the charity does, the people that actually are supposed to get the funds and so on don't get it. So we are using all of that and combining Love, the name, the emotion, with a monetary amount, and so that is many different use cases. And Love, as we touched last time as well, is such a universal name. So that means that it works, in Japan, it works in Sweden, it works in the United States, so it's a very universal name, and to have that ticker symbol and have that domain name as we have is like perfect to grow these use cases, different countries, and so on, to have like one universal currency, one Love currency, and so on. So there is many use cases.
Oh, I absolutely agree, and I like how you touched on the focus on getting rid of middlemen, because getting rid of middlemen was one of the main ethoses of why cryptocurrency was formed. I mean, getting rid of the middlemen of banks, being able to transact between two or more parties without the need of a middleman. And I appreciate that you brought up this major use case, which is revenue for content creators. Unfortunately, as you brought up, if a YouTuber, for example, is not aligned with the principles of what YouTube stands for, and I say that in a political notion, people have the chance to be shadow banned, people have the chance to be demonetized. And for a lot of people who create content, this is one, a passive income stream, or their main income stream. And when that's kind of taken from them, that can be a huge hit on someone's livelihood. And I love how Love is rectifying that, because people deserve monetary compensation for their work, no matter if it's against YouTube's political standpoints or against a specific notion that's created by these social media outlets. And I appreciate that Love allows content creators and their subscribers to be able to interact through a mutual language that everybody understands, an emotional connection that is basically, the ubiquity of the world in a lot of ways. So in that respect, then, this is a question that I think is very important. That's very objective and subjective at the same time. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts, being someone who's been at multiple different blockchain and cryptocurrency conferences, founded this project, has literally been on a docu-series about cryptocurrency, which is really incredible. It's very, very impressive. What makes a blockchain or a cryptocurrency valuable? And can you please explain further about Metcalfe's law and the concept of blitzscaling?
Yeah, so it's of course there is many different views on what makes, a cryptocurrency or a blockchain like valuable. So in my view, there is different things that drives a price, and of course the most obvious one is like speculation. And that we see a lot, especially in the NFTs today. And that is basically that you buy something with the hope that you will get, more money for it when you're selling it, and so on. And speculation drives price up, of course, in bull runs. There's a lot of speculation. But that is also very painful when it goes down, because then when there's no buyers and people needs to sell, then the price goes down very fast.
Absolutely.
But what I see that is like the core value in the cryptocurrency and blockchain is the Metcalfe's law that you touched there. And that is basically that, to explain it easily, if you have like a telecom network and if you only have two people in the network, and then if a third people he wants to join, the value is not very high for him because he can basically only call two people, so you can't demand a high subscription fee, for him to join that telecom network when he can only call two people.
Right.
But if you have 100 million people that all the nodes in that network can actually call, then the value of being part of that network is much greater. And that is basically the idea of Metcalfe law, that it increases, with the nodes can interact in the network and the network gets larger. Cryptocurrency, we have, of course, a demand and a supply, and then we have something in the middle that is limited supply, and that is the cryptocurrency. And that then, to make like an easy example with Metcalfe's law related to cryptocurrency, we can of course talk Bitcoin.
Right.
Like in the beginning, in the early days of Bitcoin, you had only a few thousand people around the world that was like dealing in Bitcoin, and then it was a couple of cents per Bitcoin. But when the network start to increase and you have a limited supply, and in Bitcoin we have like 21 million, even if it's I think only 18 million that is actually out, if you deduct Satoshi's coins. So and then when the network increase and you have a limited supply, then of course the price increase of the cryptocurrency, you know. So that is the main thing, and that is why we see Bitcoin today. Of course, there is also other variables that we can discuss, you know, that now we have like institutional money and hedge fund guys and so on buying into Bitcoin. But in basic terms, you can set, you know, like the market value, the real market value, not what coin market cap is putting up, but the real market value of the cryptocurrency is actually based on the network, how big is the network, and the nodes interacting. And so that is how I see it. Blitzscaling is something how you scale a network very fast. And as we talked earlier with the .com era, where we were talking, we who remember it, not you, Corey, but we who remember it, that was to acquire the new customer acquisition cost. You know, how much does it cost to acquire a new customer? What is the time, you know, how to grow your network, you know. So that was like a big problem in the .com era, and so on, and plus the bandwidth problem that we also touched at. What Blitzscale changed when we got much bigger the bandwidth and so on, and then you saw the companies from the .com era and the new companies that actually succeeded was the ones that was using Blitzscaling. And what Blitzscaling is that you have something in a name, concept, or the platform that can increase the network by itself, you know. So you don't need the acquisition cost or the time to educate a new user to join, you know. And of course, the famous example is, of course, Facebook, that started with friend requests, and that meant that you received a friend request from a person. And oh, I know that person, he wants to be friends with you, and that is like a positive feeling. Someone wants to be friend with you and you know that person, then you accept. And then afterwards, then you have to register to Facebook, learn how to upload your profile photo, how do I make a post, you know, and how does Facebook work, you know. So it was like you first have something that people, they join automatically, and people start to send like friend requests to people who are inside the network to people outside the network. The same PayPal, as maybe I talked about that last time, but PayPal is like a good example of a company that came from the .com thinking to acquire customers. So they raised a lot of money. Even had like Times Square advertisement, come and join, you know, like this new financial online network, you know, but they couldn't succeed to acquire new users. But then they changed using Blitzscaling, where people inside the network could then start to send like money with email to people outside, and then people know that person sending and then accepting and then in, you know. So Blitzscaling have a very profound effect of growing a network. And since cryptocurrency, like the core value of a cryptocurrency or a blockchain is in the Metcalfe's law when it comes to how many users, then to have like a Blitzscaling capability that we have with Love, you know, it works very similar to like the friend request. It's a positive emotion, you know, that you receive. This is not a friend request, but you most likely don't decline the friend request, and most likely you don't decline love from a person you know or a platform you know. So it has that the Blitzscaling capability, so I would say that that is like the core things what makes like a cryptocurrency valuable, you know, the driving forces and so on, that and also keeps the value, like even if it's like a bear market, these projects that is more based on the Metcalfe's law and so on, they don't go down in the same way, like only like speculation, like Dogecoin, or these other NFTs, and so on. So it's
I like how you bring that up, because this market, it seems like the majority of this bull market, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just the way I've seen it, is that the majority of this bull market has been based off of speculation and speculation alone, and hype, when it comes to the value proposition of a cryptocurrency. But that's only short term. And I like how you brought up that that doesn't really create long-term value. It definitely creates short-term value, but that short-term value collapses once everything else collapses, and speculation dies.
Exactly. And just to make a point there, and the interesting things, since we are both Hexicans, is that when we saw the dip, the major dip that happened in cryptocurrencies, where actually Hex went opposite, and started to go up there. And that is what I say was Metcalfe's law, that that is actually more based on the network growth, it's not speculation in the same. There can be, of course, some speculations when we have like big payouts, staking ends, and so on. There can, of course, be some speculation. But I see that as one of the big proof when the whole market went down and Hex actually gained, and that was because the network, many people basically said, I don't want to do like leverage trading anymore. Now I take my funds I have left and just put it in Hex, So it was more that the users actually increased,
Exactly. So, since you touched on this concisely, I would like to go a little bit more in depth in that notion. So how do you see Hex, PulseChain, and Love.io relating to these two philosophies that we spoke about?
Yeah, so of course, one part as well is, of course, the use case. There must be some kind of use case in the blockchain or the cryptocurrency. And I see, as we see Hex, for example, and just what I just touched on, I see a lot of Metcalfe's law in Hex that is actually with the network growth, And then, of course, Hex is like Richard have done, like the perfect application for delayed gratification. It's no one have done what he have done there. And so that, of course, creating a huge value that you have a community, and basically the community decides, like, okay, if you stake this amount, then you will have this amount back, in this time period. So it's like it's the true meaning of a smart contract in a community, So so that is, of course, like a perfect application. But when we see the Hex price, of course, it's depending on Metcalfe's law. The more people that actually join Hex and see the advantages of this application, that you can actually put something in. Today we don't get any interest if we go to the bank and put in our money there, for example, or in crypto. Here we actually have, like a good return if you delay your gratification and so on. So it's I see so many things that with Metcalfe's law is actually working so good in the Hex concept or application, and of course community, and that is to have like a strong community that is also growing, that is it's like so strong, because that means the cryptocurrency goes up in value. And also, as Richard said, why it's so important that like all Hexicans should actually follow everyone on Twitter or in and so on, because that means that the whole network becomes so much stronger,
Yes, it does.
in this. So we're working in like one group. We are like everyone that owns Hex, we are in the same boat there. So it's and it's also important to get in new YouTubers like yourself, because it doesn't matter to have like 10 YouTubers that is only have viewers from old Hexicans, the whole time. It needs to get like new YouTubers in that can bring like different audience in as well, and talking, so it's very important that we keep on like working on this to grow, because still Hex, it's is in the early stage, but it is the first application, as I see, that is like really doing this delayed gratification, plus that is proof of stake, we don't ruin like the environments now with PulseChain, of course, and so on. So that is how I see it. PulseChain, of course, is it's another beast, how to say it, because PulseChain is driven by the transactions. So that is, and that was what we discussed a lot last stream as well, I remember. And that is basically when you have a blockchain that is Turing complete, that you can build application, and basically the cost to build is the transaction fee, and if you have no inflation, that means that the price keeps on going up with more applications on it, So that is something that is with PulseChain, more applications, higher value of Pulse, So that's why I am when I am talking for PulseChain and out in crypto conferences, and so on, it can be projects that maybe I believe that, okay, that project is maybe not, like the best project, but I say, come and build on PulseChain, because since I've been sacrificing on Pulse, I know that, the more applications, that means the higher price of Pulse, so we should really like push the adoption, and so on. Just to make like an comparison with Ethereum, for example. If Vitalik would sit and say that, oh, I don't like that project, or I don't like that project, then Ethereum wouldn't be where it is today.
I agree.
It is to have this, like everyone can build. We should give everyone the chance. We shouldn't we all gain, as more people are there. Of course, we should be helping each other, in case there is, like bad scams project, and then say, oh, that is built on PulseChain, so that's good, but it's maybe not a good project. So that is something, of course, we should look out for. So, and love is also, of course, Metcalfe's law and the Blitzscaling, as we see it, is that love.io and love, the cryptocurrency, is probably one of the only names that you can have on a cryptocurrency that can blitzscale, and work, in that sense, as we have seen the social media networks and so on did, and that, of course, for us, we see that this is like extremely valuable. And also during these conferences, of course, we meet a lot of institutional investors, and they see, these strength as well. They maybe have been early investors, in Facebook or in the social media, and they see the strength that love.io have in this as well. So we see, and also, like the speculation part, like how we see that love also have, with the name, also have a less tendency for like speculation up and down, because this is just with the name, you don't sell love. If you have like $10-20 in love in your wallet, I let it be. I don't sell my love. I just let it be, because you have that association with the name, that you don't sell or anything like that if you don't need to,
Right.
So we see those things are extremely important, but all three is it's like school examples of Metcalfe's law when it comes to cryptocurrencies, that the bigger network, higher value.
Okay, so in that respect, then, when we talk about different blockchains and we talk about expectations for blockchains and applications built on such, what do you expect from the launch of PulseChain with all these applications that are already building on PulseChain, yet PulseChain isn't even out yet? But you see all of these numerous projects that have Pulse in their names that are aiming to build on Pulse once it comes out. What do you expect from PulseChain when it launches?
Yeah, so of course this will be, like the big $100 million question, what will happen, and how I see it is like, first of all, with my own experience being out, like on all the major crypto conferences talking about PulseChain, and so on, it's still a lot of people, a lot of devs, and so on, they don't know about it, like we have some major YouTubers, I have to say, that have gone in and supporting. I think Crypto Banter went support PulseChain, Ivan on tech support. I think some big ones did that.
Joe Parry, Superman.
Yeah. So we have got that, but then of course, since PulseChain, of course, we don't have any paid groups or anything like that. Then, of course, we don't get, the people talking PulseChain the whole day. So of course, that have some impact that we maybe don't have, like the huge hype outside the PulseChain community. But what I see is that a lot of these apps that have hard, to work on Ethereum, and also new app ideas, like people have come up to me and says, oh, we want to do this, and we heard that you are building on PulseChain. Can you please explain? I have had, like hundreds of devs coming up to me at the conferences asking these questions,
That's great.
So that is something, plus that we see on the testnet that there is a lot of activity going on there as well. So this is like really, really cool stuff. And what we also have, as I see, is something that is really cool with regarding the price prediction, is that I don't think that even like myself, who was like in the first day sacrificer for PulseChain, we will not sell, like making, like 10 times or whatever times, or 20 or whatever, or 100, who knows, because we see what it can be, and no one will sell lower than they sacrifice for. Then they hold it for a year, So I think that those things will be a very, very strong thing that will increase in the price. So I would say I think that this will be, like crazy. And of course, we need to see, what will happen with the price discovery between the ERC20 and the PRC20, which will also be like very interesting. It will, like you can write, like a university thesis about it. What will happen, So it's very interesting, very interesting.
It's very interesting, and I like how you brought up the sacrifice rate and how people will hold until their sacrifice rate is met. Because I remember a couple of days ago, I saw someone, an address, sacrifice 2 million USD and that sacrifice rate got them about 415,000 of them, which is roughly around 13 cents per pulse. If you were a day one sacrificer, kind of put this in perspective, $5,000 got you 50 million pulse. So kind of puts into perspective the speculation on price increase that people are expecting. Am I saying 13 cents? No. What I am saying is that people see the value proposition in PulseChain. And the next question I want to say is I'm actually really appreciative that you would take the time to actually answer this question that I'm about to ask, because it kind of embodies, what you said before about an enlarged community, a growing community working together through collaboration and understanding one another in a project. So, and I really appreciate this. And I also saw that you actually tweeted one of my podcasts with another project, Hurricash. So I really appreciate that. And that leads me to my next question to you. What are some interesting projects that you have seen that that you've noticed on PulseChain?
So for me, of course, it's all about Love.io, So I am
of course
that is what I am really having my 100% focus on. But since I'm also a sacrificer to PulseChain, and I'm looking at that, I really encourage new projects coming on building. And the ones that I have seen, of course, is the Hurricash that I've seen. And I like what I like most of that, and that is also what I have seen on the crypto conferences, this with young devs, there is so many opportunities to take like a concept like Hurricash, take whatever there is Tornado Cash on Ethereum, made some modifications and then launch it on PulseChain, And I see that that is like really, really cool, and a lot of opportunities for young devs, that see that, okay, this can be like something really cool. And that's what I liked with Hurricash that they did. And so on. And as I also saw with, and I think I put that in the tweet as well, that I would really want to integrate, that into Love.io and send love secretly as well. That would be
I agree.
Really
I
cool
love privacy. I love privacy.
Yeah. So that project really caught my eye. And of course, what is the other one?
Liquid loans.
The liquidity, what is
liquid
that
loans?
called? Excuse me, Corey.
Are you talking about liquid loans?
Yeah, liquid loans. Yeah. So that is that was the stream that you did as well there, and that is of course also a very interesting project. I'm not sure if I will use it though. It's of course an application that if there is volatility, you can actually lose your money, And for me, crypto is more for holding and hodling, and working in for long term, But I like, of course, that I build on PulseChain and that they have come, so I wish them all success and that they succeed, and Hurricash and so on. That is actually something that I really like to use myself as well, So I think that I when I look at interesting projects, I look from two different perspectives. I look like, okay, what will I use for personally. I like it, and that is like my own choice if I'm going to use something. But then everything that basically is building on PulseChain, I love, because that means a higher pulse. So I'm totally as I said earlier, like I have had many coming up with ideas on projects that I have said, oh my God, but I am helping, and as much as I can, because I know that is good for everyone, more adoption, more people using it, so that is so how I see it. And then of course we see, like Pulse X, that is of course something that is really cool as well, and that it will be a sacrifice phase for that as well. So then of course we get as much as we can into that as well.
Agreed. I'm very excited for Pulse X as well. It's actually so a funny story, I'll make it short. I didn't get into the day 1 to 5 sacrifices. Actually, someone in the community approached me and was nice enough to give me an OTC rate of the day 1 sacrifice rate. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even been able to sacrifice. Well, not able to, but I wouldn't have been able to get that amazing, yeah, sacrifice.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. So, and the reason why I bring that up is because the importance of being able to sacrifice one last time for Pulse X is really great to actually be able to participate in it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I want to conclude on this question about Love.io. What is next for it?
So we have a lot of things in the pipeline. So of course, a lot of work is going on and will be intensifying, with the launch of PulseChain and so on as well. So that is going, and then of course keep on promoting Love.io and of course PulseChain. So we will be we have scheduled Bangkok, lot of Asia will be a lot of different crypto conferences.
Awesome.
Singapore, Dubai as well. And then I think Tokyo as well, and it's really cool because we have got so much response. We have got like amazing response from all over, but I would say that the Asian countries, they are they keep on, the whole time, because they really see this as something that we see and many others see as well. So we will spend a lot of time in those countries. So, and I think Miami, I think in April they have one Bitcoin conference now coming up in January, February, but I think that they have like this blockchain week in Miami in April or something. So there will be as well. So it's going all over. And then of course, the docu-series that will be launched, that will be very exciting, because that's, the last one they did have over 2 million viewers in the crypto space. So this will be
that's huge,
very cool as well. So a lot of things.
That's awesome. I really looking forward to seeing all this, come to fruition. And when that docu-series comes out, I'm going to be watching it, and we definitely got to do a stream when it comes out, because that sounds very, very, very interesting. And I'm actually very excited to watch it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing all the success of Love and PulseChain when it comes out, which I'm sure the next time we speak, it'll either be extremely close to launch or have launched. So it's
really now something really to look forward to. And this, we does he say, McGregor? We are not here to take part; we are here to take over.
Yes.
So
I really appreciate your time today, Anders. Thank you so much for your in-depth knowledge and your view on blockchain based off of what you've seen at these conferences. So I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see the expansion of Love.io.
Thank you very much, Corey. Talk to you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.